Nevertheless, both of them apparently has mishandled government information. So we'll go ahead and start the live in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, coming to you from in the car. I haven't done an in the car live in a long time, but it is now approaching spring, and we can now sometimes hold lives on the road where we haven't done this in a while. So I'm going to try to do it today if I can get my equipment to act right. What I want to ask you folks, simply put, is how do you view Pete Hegseth? How do you view him as the secretary of, the head of the Department of Defense? How do you view Pete Hegseth? Now, most of us are aware by now, if you pay attention to you watch the news channels, you watch the cable news outlets, you're getting a lot of this shit from social media. I think we've all heard by now that the Trump administration had a major leak. There was an impending attack on the nation of Yemen, and a reporter was put in on the details. Now they had this on, what is the name of the site? It's like a Zoom Signal. I believe the app is called Signal. And this is unsecure, by the way. Any American can use Signal and set up a chat room or whatever. So they're passing around war plans on an unsecured site, and they invited in a Atlanta Journal, Atlantic Star. I cannot recall the media outlet, but one of the reporters for that outlet was privy to the information. Now, once the reporter, who apparently is not a big fan of Trump anyway, so they're using this to suggest that, listen, this guy doesn't like the Trump administration, so I suppose that hurts his credibility. Instantly, Pete Hegseth, when questioned about the leak of this information of this magnitude, Pete Hegseth chose to lie and not only say the leak did not happen or was invalid, but also attacked the reporter that had access to the information. Turns out the powers that be, the head of the NSA or whatever the case may be, the NSA the security organization, determined that what the reporter had was valid information. It was indeed war plans leaked to him. So Hegseth instantly jumped up and lied about something, and his words have come back to bite him. So I'm going to ask right off the bat, do you trust Pete Hegseth? Because his credibility is on the fence now. I mean, he's been caught in a clear lie, as opposed to saying, listen, this leak is a failure in security operations for someone within the chain of command, and we'll certainly take care of it momentarily. Someone will be held accountable. His choice was to lie about it and say it did not happen. So now that it's been proven that it did happen, Hegseth is not off the hook. He could have potentially stated that someone below me perhaps did something unauthorized and should be held accountable. Would have left him room to throw somebody else under the bus. But by him instantly choosing to lie about it, he's on the pavement too. At this point, now you have to question the credibility anytime you hear a story from Hegseth, considering that he showed you that his first inclination when the shit hit the pan or the shit hits the fan is to lie about it. And literally was caught in that lie within 24 hours. So now Trump is claiming that he doesn't know anything about it, and I don't know at this point if we can drag Trump into it, but it is part of his administration. He appointed Pete Hegseth, so there's no way he gets a pass if Hegseth turns out to be a piece of crap in terms of a bad appointment. Trump has been known to make bad appointments and not be held accountable for doing so. In fact, if you listen to Trump, if you listen to MAGA, his whole first administration, for the most part, right on up into and including the vice president, was a bad appointment. And obviously nobody held him accountable. But I want to ask you folks right off the bat, what do you think of Pete Hegseth? Because we've been spending the last few weeks talking about DEI. Remember the acronyms DEI? They don't no longer mean diversity, equity, and inclusion. They actually mean didn't earn it. Meaning you're in a position where you did not earn it. You don't have the credentials. You do not have the merit. Does Pete Hegseth have the merit to be heading the Department of Defense? So we're going to talk about that. That's going to be the first topic. And then, of course, I want to talk about this ongoing issue with due process. Now, we know there's immigrants that are in this country illegally. We know a small smidgen, to use an archaic term, a smidgen of them were sent to one of the world's, certainly in North America, on the North American continent, but one of the world's most notorious prisons down in El Salvador. Prison that could house 40,000 inmates. They had no due process. They could not even explain to the courts whether or not what they were being accused of was actually true or not. And many folks do believe that if you enter America illegally, you should have thought about due process and having rights before you decided to commit the crime of coming here illegally. I want to ask you folks about what I've titled on my notes. I keep notes for every show. I titled this one Due Process Hypocrisy. In other words, let me give you what I mean by due process hypocrisy before we start taking calls and going to the comments. And by the way, tap the screen, get the likes up. I'm on a different time than normal. Get your boy on up to about 10,000. It helps out the algorithm. You know what I always say, it brings in more MAGA, helps the program out. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body here. So you don't have to worry about whether your opinion is right or left or independent. We go left to Bernie Sanders, Trump having dinner with Q. You're not going to get blocked, banned, or censored here for having an adverse opinion. You can criticize anybody on the damn show, including yours truly. It's all about free speech here. Due process hypocrisy. I want to talk about this. For decades, if not generations, we've had criminals in America, born and raised, red-blooded Americans, commit crimes in this country, become wanted people, wanted man, a fugitive from the law. Many have opted to flee this country and run into either Mexico or Canada. We have Americans fleeing the American justice system, run into Mexico or Canada all the damn time. You even watch some of the movies from the 70s and 80s. That was the first thing they tried to do. I believe Thelma and Louise were trying to get into Mexico. Gina Davis, you remember that movie from the 90s? Where have we ever seen Americans suggest that if you enter Mexico, or if a criminal enters Canada illegally, they deserve no due process? In other words, if you enter Mexico or if you enter Canada, the Canadians or the Mexicans should be able to do whatever the hell they want to you. Have you ever heard any Americans suggest that? Because that's what we're suggesting when they come here, is that they get no rights. They should have thought about it before entering the country illegally. Now, I'll give you examples. Remember, I cannot think of the kid's name, but remember the guy, this was probably back from the 90s as well, so you got to be probably got to be at least 30 years old to remember this, but he entered a country, I think it was Singapore, got caught committing crimes, and they were going to cane his ass 30 or 40 times. Caning means beating your ass with a stick, something like a piece of bamboo or something like that. Americans fought hard. Michael Fay, thank you, Terrence, the Gators fan, appreciate it. America fought hard to prevent this kid from being caned. No one said he should have thought about it before going to Singapore and committing a crime. We just had an effort to free a guy from North Korea that also went to North Korea and went into areas where he was clearly banned from entering. And America, under Trump, brought him home. Nobody suggested that when he went to North Korea and clearly committed a violation according to their law, deserved whatever the hell was coming to him. So why are we suggesting this when people come here? I wouldn't, because of my audience, because I got a hell of a lot of folks on the right and left, I'm not going to go down the Brittany Griner road too much because I know a hell of a lot of my audience don't give a shit about Brittany Griner being held in Russia for what amounts to a tiny bit of cannabis. But I know a hell of a lot of my audience, if they had their choice, her ass would still be in Russia. So I'm not going to use Brittany Griner. But I do want to point out that the idea that Americans going abroad and committing crimes and receiving no due process is something that Americans disagree with. But we now believe that when people come here and do it, they should get whatever. I mean, we're sending people to one of the most notorious prisons on earth. If you illegally entered Mexico, another example, remember the guy, the Marine that Trump in the right was speaking out on behalf of? He's a U.S. Marine. He entered the country of Mexico. He had a round. He had a bullet in his possession. There are signs all over the border. Do not bring firearms or ammunition into Mexico. He did that. He claimed it was a mistake. The right was fighting tooth and nail to get him back. What happened to no due process? So why are we suggesting that when folks come here and commit a crime, they don't deserve due process, even if it means sending them to one of the most violent prisons on earth? Can you imagine if we entered the country illegally and they tried to send us into a violent prison like that? The outrage in America towards that country, the boycotting, the sanctions would be called for. Why is it working in the opposite direction? Can somebody explain that to me? Because maybe I'm wrong in what I'm seeing, but it sounds like hypocrisy. So I want to hear from you folks. While my window and car is acting up, I want to hear from you folks how this is not hypocrisy. So looking in the comments, their crimes are violent crimes. They're not, if you don't, let me just say this real quick. And that came from Andrew Turner in the comments. If you don't have due process, your crimes are not violent crimes. Your crimes are accusations. You ever heard of somebody being charged with something, and until they are found guilty, anytime you hear it in the media, the phrase alleged is used? Because you got to prove it. I just read an article before coming on live. El Salvador, that prison down there that we made a deal with to take illegal immigrants, they only accept men. That was the deal with Trump. They only accept male prisoners. We sent females to them. Only a small contingent, but female immigrants were sent to El Salvador. They had to fly them back. They had to actually fly them back. So they ended up coming back in the middle of the night on the flight by themselves. So when you say they committed violent crimes, if you don't get due process, that don't mean shit. No, you've been accused of a violent crime. We don't know what these people have done because they have literally been rendered silent. So looking in the comments real quick, chickens are coming home to roost. That is never a good thing. So I'm going to go straight to the box, and we'll go straight to Judo Guido. Good afternoon, Judo Guido. Welcome to the program. I'm curious to know what I'm getting wrong. First watch, I see you claiming I'm lying. You didn't state about what. Judo Guido, good afternoon.
Hey, Tim, thanks for having me back. It's been a couple months, been watching you, big fan.
Thank you.
People who don't know me, I'm TikTok's favorite Republican, Judo Guido, and host of the worst bowling stream on TikTok, and former super mod for Bobby G0313. First thing I want to hit you with is that you really made me laugh, Tim. And I love your sense of humor. I think you should be like the lead in some type of comic relief like poll where you get an award for. Could you really say that Pete, S.A. Pete, our SecDef credibility is just now on the line?
Okay, you're right. Well, this one is not a liberal accusation at this point, though. He's been literally caught in a lie, and his organization has leaked material that could be consequential to the American military.
Absolutely, and that's no surprising. We got him in a foreign country who decided to take sippy with his alcoholism from a NATO podium or something, maybe in Germany, can't remember, as he was asking reporters questions from the reporting pool, his little lowball glass with his little sippy bourbon. That was all caught live.
But that is an allegation. There's not proof that was bourbon. Did you see the bottle?
Oh, come on. Do you really need to know what a lowball looks like? Tim, you're not 18. We're not spring chickens, right? We know what the brown substance looks like. I mean, it ain't a Coke.
Well,
but at the end of the day, this is just another mistake that S.A. Pete has made consistently since being SecDef. He has made an attack.
I gotta push back until I see the bottle. I can't definitively say Pete Hegseth was drinking alcohol.
Okay, fair enough. We'll agree to disagree. You're right. There is no bottle. We didn't see the Jack Daniels. Maybe the top shelf bottle came out of the airplane tonight. We don't know. So I'll agree with you on that.
All right.
Definitively say. Fair enough. But he has made attacks on the transgender community. He has discriminated and attacked women as they are no longer worthy of being in combat arms, right? These are all programs that women and transgender communities have established themselves in our armed forces. And now, sadly, the African American, which is being attacked because of their shaving profiles, right, are now being forced out or will be forced out. Right now, it's being evaluated, but that's something that the United States Marine Corps has already come out and made their position on it. I'm sure Army, Air Force, Navy, the other services will make their own determinations, right? So at this end of the day, Pete, Mr. S.A. Pete, our SecDef, that got in on a 51-50 vote, only the second time in history that the vice president had to make a deciding decision on who's going to be a cabinet member. S.A. Pete now has the second distinction, has been making multiple mistakes. And the fact that his credibility is now being exposed or on the line when it's been on the foremost since he was the failed weekend host.
What about from a conspiracy angle? For instance, one of my viewers, Ray Hendrick, says, how does these leaks seem to always happen to Republicans? Is there some kind of maybe conspiracy coming from the left to try to deface the Republican administration? These leaks don't seem to happen under Democrats.
Because Trump hires the idiots. It isn't a Republican or Democrat thing. It's about common sense and responsibility, right? That's what it boils down to. It's not a Republican thing, because really the last Republican president has been Trump, and both terms has had nothing but idiots put in positions that has embarrassed our Republican Party and has actually degraded our ability to be able to be respected across the spectrum.
Now, I'm being told, wait a minute, but I'm being told under Trump, we finally have a commander-in-chief. We finally have somebody in the Oval Office where America is being respected worldwide as opposed to being laughed at. You seem to be saying the opposite.
Well, let's look at the NATO meeting that took place trying to respond to Trump's actions when it comes to tariffs and their responsibility in the global world when it came to Ukraine and Russia. Everyone in Europe has said, this is bad. What Russia is doing is bad, right? I think anybody can say it's bad. But you got Trump saying, oh, we'll just figure it out and we'll give up a third of Ukraine and then, we'll just call it a day, And Europe is saying, whoa, what are you doing?
Well, I got a lot of folks, particularly in this country on the right, that do not believe that Russia is as much of a threat as the left in Europe is painting out to be. So what is it that Europe or left-wing Americans are seeing that maybe MAGA are not?
Well, I can agree with that perspective because I have supported our argument. Our military equipment, as old as it may be, has decimated the Russian military. It is not even, everyone was worried about before Ukraine that, they had this big red machine, this is their superpower, and their vehicles are breaking down on the side of the road. Soldiers are running the opposite direction. They can't hit the broadside of a barn. And then we infused the Ukrainian military with American ingenuity and American resources. And it happened to be old stuff, but it decimated them. So, yes, I can sit there and support that argument 100% that the military is not as strong as people may have thought it would be. Still, they are a nuclear superpower. They are not at all weak in that regards. They are a formidable opponent, as well as their intelligence.
But
So,
do you believe that if Russia and Ukraine are left to their own devices, that Russia will dominate the Ukraine and continue on throughout Eastern Europe?
no, they need support. That's why North Korea is involved and China is now involved. They need the support because they don't have the military infrastructure or the military training or capability to be able to do that. That's why Russia has partnered with China and North Korea to facilitate further advancement or sustainability. They don't got it.
Okay, well, right now, Russia has not attacked a NATO member nation. So, in your opinion, what is America's role in this? Nobody that is a member of NATO has been attacked. Should America get involved in this?
I think, well, we do have Article 5, right? And attack on one is attack on all.
But there is no one that has been attacked.
Correct. So what the NATO and European allies are trying to do, and what under the Biden administration has attempted to do, was to try to be premeditated, right? Try to let Russia know, yeah, your advancement on Ukraine and coming up to the borders of our NATO allies is not an option.
Okay.
But under the Trump administration, I think we're more like a military for hire, and that if you're going to want to use us and you need us, hey, you're going to have to pay us.
Well, I mean, which one is worse, though? Under Trump, you said we're military for hire. Under Biden, we were just a military for charity with Ukraine.
We were military equipment.
I mean,
we did not have any boots on ground.
Yeah.
The furthest we got, the closest we got was Poland, which was a military train up, because I know I was part of that. And that's the close, and that was more of a message in saying, hey, we can get here pretty quickly. That's my opinion.
But does Trump not deserve credit? Did Trump not get it right by saying, considering how much help we gave to you, we have given to Ukraine, you owe us. We want repayment on this. Biden was not talking about repayment. Did Trump get that right?
Oh, God.
You're cutting the deficit. You're cutting expenses. You want to bring more money home. Isn't that what Trump is doing? Is that not what America wanted?
Yes, I would say that's what America wanted because he's in office.
Promises made, promises kept. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
All right. MAGA 2028. I got to move it on. I got to move on.
You over here validating SAP. I don't want to hear that shit.
I'm hearing MAGA 2028. That's what I'm hearing.
Hey, thanks, Tim, for having me on. You have a good, blessed day, everyone.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thanks for coming through. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get me on up to about 25, 30,000. You know how I say thou, Thou, on TikTok. Tap the screen. Give me about a minute. It helps out the algorithm, helps out the program. Certainly show some love by tapping your screen. It doesn't cost you a damn thing, but tap the screen. Get the likes up to about 30,000, if you will, so we can take another caller. Russia assisted the Union Army during the Civil War. Awesome, bro. I don't know what relevance that has to what's going on now, though. I don't know what that is. He hires idiots because he fucks up, just push the finger right back at them. What are you saying there? You're my daddy. That's a hell of a name. Let me look in the comments. Hegseth don't understand diplomacy. Well, I don't know, because I think Trump absolutely understands diplomacy. As a successful businessman, operating successfully throughout one of, the nation's largest city of New York for a large portion of his life, Trump absolutely understands diplomacy. But he also understands having an advantage from a bully pulpit. So in Trump's case, while he understands diplomacy, he kind of knows with the prowess and power of America, you don't really need to negotiate in a lot of circumstances. He's kind of looking at many of his adversaries like, what are you going to do? I mean, I got all the power. I got the military. We got finance over you. We control a lot of the world's banking. What are you going to do? Now, it does make him look like a bully, but then again, he is a bully. He has a history of bullying. I found out not long ago that the character Biff in the Back to the Future movies was actually based on President Trump. Steven Spielberg, that character Biff And Back to the Future movies was really genuinely, that's not a made up thing. That is actually true. Anyhow, looking in the comments though, Russia never declared war on Ukraine technically. It's a special operation. If Russia declared war, Ukraine would have been wiped off the map. What the hell does that mean? You're telling me Russia never declared war? It's technically what is the difference between war and a special operation? If tens of thousands of people are being killed and you're taking over sovereign territory, are you just trying to make up a special category to downplay what they're doing? Based on what you're saying, Al Qaeda did not declare war on America. It was a special operation. What the hell is that? There's no special operation is what Vladimir Putin told his people to prevent from saying we just declared war on our neighboring country for no reason. That is actual Russian talking points. That is exactly what Vladimir Putin to the Russian subjects refer to what's going on. They're telling people that that is a special operation. It's not a special operation. You got half the military in Ukraine. It's a fucking war. A special operation. Wow. Let me go back to the box. I got a few Russians in the chat apparently. Arlene says Russia has a third-rate military. Ukraine has a far better military. That's why Russia hasn't succeeded in taking over the entire country. I disagree with that, Arlene. Ukraine has basically some of the best weaponry in the world they're getting from the United States. And we actually have better shit than what we're giving them. But the stuff we're giving to Ukraine is actually better than what you can find most places in the world. So it ain't that the Ukrainian army is all that great. It's that, I mean, hell, anybody can become a formidable force if you put an AR in their hands. Even a kid. Even a kid could go take out half the adults in the neighborhood if you give them enough rounds in an AR. That's what happens when you got superior firepower. The Ukrainians are receiving superior equipment from America. So it ain't that they're all this highly trained elite combat unit. It's that we're giving them good shit. Looking in the comments, what do you expect Trump is working with? And for Vladimir Putin, what do I expect him working with? I don't quite understand the question. I do believe that Trump considers Putin as an ally. I haven't seen anything that suggests otherwise. I've heard some tough talk. He's threatening to impose sanctions on Russia, but many analysts suggest that that has no meaning in Russia because under the previous administrations, going all the way back to George W. Bush, we've been imposing sanctions on Russia. I mean, that's like threatening Kim Jong-un in North Korea with sanctions. It ain't a lot more you can do. So when Trump says if Putin pisses him off or he starts threatening sanctions and shit like, there's not much you can do at this point. We already don't do business with them. We've already stopped our allies from doing business with them. The sanctions is a way to appease some Americans who are tired of hearing liberals say that Putin and Trump are friends. Well, see, no, they're not. He's threatening to sanction Putin. That has no meat behind it. That has no weight behind it. We're already doing that to them. What's next? You're going to sanction Iran? You're going to sanction Syria? It has no weight behind it. We already do that. Let me go back to the box. But it sounds good to people who may not know what's already going on. First Watch. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, First Watch. Now, I saw you in the comments, so I do want to hear you clear up what I'm getting wrong. First Watch, good afternoon. First Watch. Okay, apparently he's not there. We'll move on with the program. I like to hear the criticism. I'm fine with open opinions on both sides. He claimed I didn't know what I was talking about, so I did give him a little, wanted to give him a little play, but he stepped away from the device. So, Mike, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
What's going on, Tim?
What do I always say? Hanging around like Mike Pence on January 6th. So,
that's right.
Pete Hegseth.
Let's tap the screen, share the live.
Thank you.
There's 331 people in here.
Thank you.
Gets him up to about 50 thou wow before I drop off. This is pretty easy with 330 people in here. Tap the screen, share the live. for the Handsome Liberals Live. Pete Hegseth, or Hennessy Hegseth. That's what I call him.
Hennessy, wait, Hennessy Hegseth. Wow, appreciate that, Big Bird.
Yeah, that's what I call him.
Oh my God. There's no,
Hennessy Hegseth.
I'm gonna tell you what I told my last caller. There is no proof that Pete Hegseth is heavily drinking in modern times. That's an accusation by the left.
That's fair. I'm just using their logic, Tim.
I'm
using their logic as to the decisions that they come to. That's all.
I can't argue. That sounds like Tampon Tim, Hennessy Hegseth. It does have a ring to it, 2 double H's, like Tampon Tim, 2 double T's. I like it.
Yeah. So all I'm saying, listen, I've never sipped apple juice or cranberry juice like that on the stage as if it was a cognac. But hey, you're right. We don't have any proof. Yeah. We don't have any proof. But you know what? But it's the same principle they're saying about. So first of all, let's stay with Pete. That didn't age well, did it?
No, not even 24 hours.
Well, first of all, Tim, let's go back to him not even being qualified for the position.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Are you suggesting that Pete Hegseth is a DEI? Didn't earn it?
Everybody that was on the text, by their definition, is a DEI. All of them. J.D. Vance is DEI, 18 months in the Senate. Somehow he's qualified.
Well, wait a minute. J.D. Vance, 18 months on the Senate. How long did Obama have on the Senate before he became actual president?
I'm simply stating, if you let me finish,
okay,
based on their assessment of Harris and her qualifications, he's unqualified. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. I don't argue with that. According to MAGA's definition of what's qualified or not, you're correct.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. Because you know, facts and manganese don't mix.
Manganese, is that a new metal on the periodic chart of elements?
Yeah, I told you that. So listen, the fact that these fools and people don't understand how serious this was, right? If they're sending text about an operation or in this app or about an operation, think about this, Tim. If that would have gotten hacked or could have gotten hacked, those very same pilots could have been in danger.
SAM sites, you name it. You're right. They could have put in surface air missiles. They knew they were coming. I don't disagree.
Easily. But did you read the text?
I saw some of the snippets. I didn't read the whole thing. The emojis going back and forth and shit. I saw some of it.
It's crazy. J.D. Vance was really saying, I don't think this is a good idea, but...
Yep.
Right?
And he's right. It goes against Trump's claim that we need to stop getting involved overseas and focusing money, and that it's going to, what Yemen is doing, it affects the European theater more than it does here. Yeah, J.D. Vance is right, but J.D. Vance, like a lot of Republicans, are in a position where if he speaks up, he's gone.
Yeah, well, and J.D. Vance also said that, yeah, I don't think it's the right thing to do, and I don't think that Trump really understands it. But I'll toe the line if that's what we need to do.
Yep, he did say that. He said, if you think it's okay, then yeah, he did say that.
Right. I'll just toe the company line. That is consistent with what he's done his entire career when he thought Trump was all the things he actually is, and then he said he wasn't. So he's being consistent with who he's been. It's not like he's ever had a spy. It's not like he's ever done anything of significance. But for anyone that supports Trump to downplay this, I'll ask one question. If this was Biden, would you have the same, would you hold the same position?
No. Even on, I mean, when you look at the fact that that information leaked, and you got the administration being ran by, Gabbard is over intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and you got Pete Hegseth over defense. Yeah, the right would be going apeshit. Trump would be trolling like hell. This is what happens when you put unqualified people in. Shit leaks. And that's before Hegseth lied about being caught. Yeah, the right would be going apeshit.
Apeshit. And he lied. And then for Trump to say he didn't know anything about it, that's a lie.
You can't prove that, though. You can't prove that.
Hey, listen. That's exactly what they would say. Prove it, okay? So here's my response to that. We can't prove it. If he didn't know, because it's not good either way. If Trump did not know, then he's saying that these things are happening without his knowledge.
Which
How
isn't,
was that
yeah,
any
which
fucking
isn't
better?
in that's not any better. That's now you're talking about incompetence and ignorance.
Now you're talking about incompetence in that the head, the leader of the free world doesn't know that his P
Yeah.
and head of SO is talking about and like think about what we're talking about, Tim. So you have to believe that he didn't know completely, and they're that incompetent, and they should still remain in the roles that they're in.
Well, under Trump, he is not likely to get rid of Hegseth or Gabbard because it would be admitting that he put somebody in that's incompetent. The only way Trump's going to get rid of you is if he has a problem with you. But if you do something and somebody else has a problem with you, he'll probably take the route he just did, which is I didn't know about it, or he'll plead, like you said, plead ignorance. I don't know, I don't know what's going on. That's everything from Stormy Daniels on out. That's what he always says. Well, I didn't know, is or ask somebody else.
Well, 100%. So I'm going to ask you the question on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst. Where would you rank this? Where would you? Yeah, don't be looking down. Ain't shit down there. where would where would you rank this on a scale of 1 to 10? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst. Where would you rank this profile?
Well, I'm not. It's a colossal fuck up, but I'm not going to rank it anywhere near a 10 because nobody died. I mean, if this leaked information that had resulted in loss of lives for American service personnel, then yes, a 10, if not 100. I would probably say somewhere around a good 5 or a 6.
A 5 or a 6?
Yeah.
They're speaking about classified on an app you can just go download, Tim.
I hear what you're saying,
And
Mike. Mike.
hold on though. Let me say this. Not only did they do it, Tim, you got to remember when they're put in these positions, they're walked through the protocol. They know what the protocol is. It's not like they didn't know the right way to communicate.
Hold on, let me respond. When you said between 1 and 10, I'm saying a 5 or a 6 in terms of fuck up for the United States, as opposed to if we're talking about judging Pete Hegseth or Tulsi Gabbard or the person that leaked it, it's a 10 because they probably should be terminated for it. Not necessarily Gabbard. I don't know if I'm certain I would terminate Hegseth for it, but whoever did leak it, they should be fired completely. So for Hegseth, personally, it's a 10 for him. But for the United States and how this looks on the world stage, I say about a 5 or a 6.
Okay, so I'm going to take both of those numbers. Keep in mind, it wasn't technically a leak. We keep calling it a leak. It's not like it
Right.
leaked out. They added the person and they didn't know what they were doing. It wasn't like somebody told it.
No, it's a fuck up. It's not a leak, it's a fuck up.
Yeah, that's not a leak. That's a straight fuck up.
Yeah, it's a fuck up.
Difference. Because if it's a leak, you can fix that. It's not like they used the same protocol that they're supposed to and it leaked. They did everything they weren't supposed to and added somebody on there that they didn't know they added, and were having conversations that they shouldn't have had on that app.
Yeah. What they could, I mean, if Hegseth hadn't rushed to lie so much, they could have used anything from one of the participants in the meeting was hacked, and the information was knocked over to this Signal app, which none of us were using. There's all kinds of excuses they could have made up if Hegseth hadn't opened his mouth and lied so damn quick.
Yeah, and then he wants to bash the journalists and call them incompetent and all of these things, and it's like,
yeah,
the reality is the journalist looks down at their phone or looks at their phone and they're like, holy crap. And understand, they didn't release all the text, Tim, because they said, I don't know if you read that part, they were not going to release all the text because there were certain
classified shit in there.
That was classified shit.
I saw that.
So if we did have the full context of the text and we saw this classified information that shouldn't have been on that platform, I mean, this is bad. Do you think
I'm surprised Goldberg, who the right obviously hates, the reporter that got the information that was being attacked so much. Well, if you're gonna say the shit I got is not classified, if you're gonna say I'm lying, then I'm gonna release tomorrow in all of the newspapers what I got. After all, it ain't nothing special, right? That's what I would have said when they started attacking him. Well, I'm just gonna release all the shit I got since you're saying it ain't that important.
Exactly. I mean, I think that there's some integrity there because the reality is he could have.
Yeah.
He could
And
have
then
just
they would have been after him. And then they would have been after him.
for what? For releasing classified information, right?
Right.
It's so dishonest. And listen, Trump supporters, you can sit around and make excuses for this shit, but you know you wouldn't make excuses if it was anyone that was considered a liberal, Biden, whatever. You would never, ever tolerate this. You would be screaming DEI and incompetence. Hell, you do it even when there are qualified people, let alone this situation is bad. The U.S. as a whole, we look as incompetent as shit on the world stage right now.
Yeah, I've already heard that several countries, I think Australia's being one of them, probably Canada now for sure, the way we've done Canada, they're now concerned about the safety of sharing intelligence information with the United States because they believe that America would just basically give it to Russia and some of their adversaries. I mean, you can get people killed. A lot of these countries have spies that may be working near the Kremlin or working in some of these countries, and they looking at Trump like, well, shit, you got this relationship with Putin. So if we tell you who our spies are that are operating in these countries, we don't feel you would protect the information.
Listen, why would you feel that way? And before anybody in the chat or the next person that comes up tries to say I'm delusional, when you bank at your bank and they send you a letter saying that their data was breached, right?
Right.
They're letting you know that something happened and your information was breached. Do you just sit there, or are you okay about it, or are you concerned what may happen to your data?
Depends on how important your data is. If you're sitting around with a 400 credit score, it don't really fucking matter. But it does. I get your point. If you got things to lose, it matters.
If you got things to lose, it matters. And at the end of the day, this level of incompetence, and Mike Johnson just tried to just pivot. And this is how little they think about their own supporters. They don't even think that you matter enough. They'll just try to brush it underneath the rug and move on because they believe that you guys are not, your Trump supporters are not connected enough to even understand the significance of this, and it doesn't matter.
That can't be true, Mike. There's a lot of MAGA that are veterans. If you served in the military, you know the importance of keeping information classified. You know the importance of this. Even at lower levels, you know.
I understand. I'm saying, well, did you see Mike Johnson's response?
The one where he lied about it?
Well, Mike Johnson said, yeah.
Oh, no, Hegseth. I'm thinking about Hegseth. What did Mike Johnson say?
I'm talking about Mike Johnson. I'm talking about Mike Johnson going, yeah, I think they're doing a great job. And it was just, it happened. It just kind of just happened. Did you look it up and read his response to this, Trump's response to this, it's exactly what they're saying to their own supporters. They're not talking to us. They're not talking. Listen, you're not talking to anybody that already doesn't believe in you. You're talking to your supporters. So they understand if we tell them it's not a big deal, they'll believe it's not a big deal.
I'm not.
With the fact.
Yeah, of course I got to move on, but I'm not totally certain that that's going to work with a lot of MAGA because I'm watching some of the right-wing YouTube pages and things like that. There's just too many folks on the right that served in the military, so they know the magnitude of this information getting released. Even if Trump or Hegseth tries to downplay it, there's a lot of folks who served in the military that support Trump that are Republicans, and they know this is way more serious. They know what would have happened to them if they did it. So they know that what Trump is saying, and particularly what he said with Johnson and Hegseth, Trump is pretty much pleading ignorance. But they know what's coming out of the administration is not what they were told when they were in the military.
No, listen, you're not getting any pushback from me, but I know you're not reading your comments while we're talking. You know how many people in your comments say that we're delusional having this conversation right now? Johnny 11 is saying that they didn't technically do anything wrong.
Oh.
And if you bring up Twisted Jeremy or MAGA, they are going to MAGA-splain this shit away until they twist themselves to the fucking ground. You know it, and I know it. Gen X won't admit to it. That's what I'm saying. He's talking to them.
I think if Johnny 11 is saying that, and he's a friend of the program, he's in the comments often, to me, remember the old pencils you had back in the 90s and 80s when you were in high school with the hairy erasers? They called them trolls.
Yeah,
That's he's a hairy eraser right now on the top of a pencil.
Yeah, But again, it's dangerous because if the U.S. people don't, if the U.S. people don't represent the significance of this moment, like we haven't been doing, that's why we got here. Like you said, why would other countries continue to share information with us? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put my assets in harm's way because they don't give a damn.
Well said.
And we're showing it. We're showing we don't give a damn. Putting people on planes, sending them all over the place, alleged gang members and all this stuff. Just to, oh, my bad. The hell with the end result. The hell with the trauma. They don't give a shit, Tim.
No,
At
no.
all. And this is a big fuck up 60 days in. We are 60 today. We are 64 days into this administration when this happened.
So how long does it feel like? 64 days. How long does it feel like Trump has been president?
Damn near 2 years.
It feels like Biden never was in there. Like this is like he's starting his third term. I mean, it just because he was involved the whole time Biden was in there. It feels like, it feels like Biden was never in there.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more, man. So listen, it's awful. It's awful, bro. But I appreciate you bringing me up.
As always, Mike, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, we're almost at 50,000 too. We're almost at 50,000. Yeah, 492 people in here. Let's get Tim up to 75,000. 492 people in here.
I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to argue with that. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. All Moving on with the program. You know, by the way, I didn't get to run it because our conversation really went into this whole defense league, but I would have asked Mike, and I'll certainly ask you folks, in regards to my other topic for today, which I have titled on my notes, I always do for the show, Due Process Hypocrisy. Now, I brought up several folks going all the way back to the guy who got caned in Singapore, how Americans do not believe that Americans going to other countries illegally or committing crimes while they're in foreign countries should be denied due process. If someone was trying to escape the law in America, an American citizen, we've had American citizens running from the law essentially since America's been a country. When the marshals are after you, the feds are after you, plenty of Americans have tried to flee into Canada or into Mexico to escape the law. They are essentially someone with a criminal record and an illegal alien if they get into Canada or into Mexico. Have you ever heard Americans suggest that when they get there, they should not get any due process at all? Let's say an American entered Mexico illegally. Maybe they wanted to score some drugs. So they walked illegally into Tijuana. You find out some college frat boys illegally entered Tijuana. And all of a sudden you hear the Mexicans wanting to send them to a jail in Leningrad, St. Petersburg, over in Russia somewhere. They don't made a deal with the Russians. You think Americans would be okay with that? You entered the country illegally. You got a criminal record. We're going to send you to St. Petersburg, Russia's one of their most notorious prisons. You think America would think that was a good thing? You think we would accept that under the guise of, if you enter a country illegally, you should have thought about due process before you did it? I want to ask you folks, are we looking at a case of due process hypocrisy? The kid that got caned, we tried to fight from that happening. Trump brought somebody home from North Korea that went over there and trespassed and committed a crime in North Korea. Trump also fought to bring home a U.S. Marine that carried ammunition into Mexico. Clear violation of their law down there. And as I stated earlier, I don't want to go into Brittany Griner because I know MAGA don't give a shit about Brittany Griner and probably hope she spent the rest of her damn life in Russia. But she was, too, an American playing sports in Russia, facing a ridiculous amount of time for a trumped-up charge. No due process. Keep in mind, every American I'm giving you, we know the crime that they committed when they were in a foreign country. The people that we're sending to Venezuela, they didn't have any say-so in the allegations made against them. We're just trusting that the Trump administration is telling us the truth when they say they're rapists, murderers, or doing something else. Right after discussing the fact that one of the members of the Trump administration, Pete Hegseth, is clearly lying. Do you believe everything you hear from the Trump administration? up to and including what they're saying about these immigrants. So look at in the comments. If you're in their country, you play by their rules. Andre, I'm 100% agreeing with that. But if you go to Mexico, let's say you're trying to buy a joint, you think it's okay to execute you? Whatever happened to the punishment must fit the crime. Does America support that? That if you go to another country and you commit a crime, they should be able to do whatever they want? Have you seen any history in America that we agree with something like that? No due process for Americans. Have you seen any history of that? Look at it in the comments real quick. 4 million from 16 million is what? Somebody's doing addition doing mathematics. Brittany Griner broke the law. Yes, I get that the right don't give a damn about Brittany Griner. So did all the other immigrants that I mentioned that Trump was trying to bring home. They all broke the law too. Brittany Griner has a little something special going for her, which is why the right is not as much of a fan of bringing Brittany Griner home. I tell you this, since we're talking about Brittany Griner, an athletic superstar for the WNBA, she was one of the better players. You think they'd feel the same way if Caitlin Clark was in that situation? For my WNBA fans, you know who Caitlin Clark is? You think they would act the same way if Caitlin Clark was caught with a little bit of cannabis and they were trying to give her 15 years busting rocks? Do you think the right would have the same opinion? Yes or no in the comments. Going to the next caller. We'll continue on with Cautiously Optimistic. Love the name. Good evening, or better yet, good afternoon. Cautiously Optimistic.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Due process hypocrisy. Are you seeing any resemblance of that?
I mean, to be fair, yes, and that's coming from a Trump supporter.
Why? Because it's mainly on the right. I don't think the left favors these folks not having due process. Why would the Constitution-loving right, the patriots, be favoring not giving any human being due process?
Well, there's certain things that fall, constitutionally. Even illegal immigrants are supposed to be protected with due process, unless they're a repeat offender, in which case it could become a felony charge at the federal level, and they could be immediately deported, foregoing due process. But for an initial person over here, first offender, they should get due process.
So, how do you view the Trump administration, considering that they're doing just the opposite?
I think it's a necessary evil because of what was allowed to happen, not just under Biden's administration, but primarily under Biden's administration, where we saw an influx of illegal border crossings. Some of the biggest annual records on record happened under his administration. Man, we just can't have a situation where people are coming over here where they're not properly vetted. We don't know their intentions, and then you have Lake and Riley incidents. And I get that that's just one incident, but there's multiple incidents, multiple potential for incidents based on some of these people's background that we were able to find out, whether it's Trindagua or MS-13.
So you're saying you believe because Biden let so many folks in this country that we don't know who the hell they are, you believe it's a necessary evil to just suggest that they all are rapists and murderers and send them to one of the world's most notorious prisons?
No, I think that they need to be prioritized in the way that the Trump administration has communicated to the American people. And I think when mistakes are made, because when you're trying to attempt such a big undertaking, someone's going to get washed up inevitably, who might not have been might not should have been. And I think at that point, from an integrity standpoint, it's important to come out and say, hey, we fucked up. We swooped up 400 people. Of that 400 people, 399 of them were legitimate people who we told you, we were going to target and get out of our country, but we accidentally wrapped this one guy up. We're doing everything we can right now to get him back in line.
Well, but wait. Let's be clear. Trump is claiming like 18 million illegals came in this country or whatever. We only sent a few hundred of them down in El Salvador.
We couldn't do anything beyond that because of the judges.
Right, but what I'm asking is this. Considering the small number that got sent to El Salvador, why couldn't they get due process? You're accusing these folks of some of the most heinous crimes, and you're sitting up to one of the worst places on earth. Out of everybody, why wouldn't that group, the ones you're treating worse than, I mean, that's right below it, giving them a death sentence. Why would you not give at least that group due process?
If they're members of Trindagua or MS-13, I want them immediately removed from our country, and I am willing to forego historical traditions to see that happen. And I don't apologize for it, and I don't think anyone should.
So what you're saying is if Border Patrol or the Trump administration says they're a member of Trinidad, that's all that should be necessary. If the person is kicking and screaming, saying, I don't have nothing to do with this gang, I've never been in it, I don't know anybody that's a member.
I mean, no. I don't want to mince words here. There should be airtight evidence to suggest these people are members. It shouldn't be, there's certain tattoos, like the soccer player that got wrapped up. There seems to be, at least if you hear his family's interviews, that this guy was not at all wrapped up, but he had a tattoo that fell into the criteria of some of those gang members. And
but that's what happens when you start punishing people solely based on a tattoo. You could pin any damn body down and scribe a tattoo on them that you hate. A tattoo is all it takes?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That should not be the threshold for which a determination on a person's gang affiliation is made, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. To me, a tattoo should be the last thing ever used to determine whether somebody gets such a harsh punishment. If you want to evict somebody, or for lack of a better, if you want to deport somebody, you don't like the tattoo, that's one thing. To send them to the world's most notorious prison solely based on a tattoo, that's insane.
Well, first off, I don't think it's the world's most notorious prison.
North America's most notorious prison.
But here's the thing, right? And this is gonna sound cold-hearted and brash, but it's genuinely how I feel, and I'm not trying to dehumanize nobody.
You've already done that, but go ahead.
Truly members of MS-13 or Trinidagua, these people are very dangerous individuals, and so when the DOJ took the step to identify these folks as domestic terrorists or terrorist organizations, at that point they fall in line with no different than ISIS or anyone else that would intend to do American.
You do realize Trump refers to Black Lives Matter as a terrorist outfit, right?
A domestic terrorist outfit. I mean, I based on some of the activities that took place over those years,
You want to send BLM to El Salvador?
No, hell no.
That's what it sounds like. I mean,
they're Americans, man. But they should still.
Are you
sure? There should be no mercy for breaking the law for anybody, man. If you're going to allow certain segments or certain groups to break the law, and go unpunished, then it questions your credibility when you're trying to hold other people accountable. Says
a man that just pardoned a bunch of clear criminals who are committing crimes on video at the Capitol building. That guy is talking about who should be held accountable.
Exactly. So when you held those folks accountable while allowing others, and you brought the group up, so I guess I'll use them as an example, BLM, to go more or less unscathed. I mean, the shit that they
That's not true, though. That is
the shit that they were in Minneapolis. These people were not held into account.
Let me clear you. Let me push back on you with that. There are hosts of folks that were caught up in the BLM riots and protests that were sent to prison. There are BLM members still in prison for riot. The idea that no BLM members got punished, no January 6th members have gotten punished because all their records are clean. There are plenty of folks that were rioting and looting with BLM that have prison records and did time, and nobody pardoned them.
Well, to be fair, you had a guy that didn't even step foot in Washington, D.C., who got the longest prison sentence of all January 6ers to exceed 30-year sentence, and he never even was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. And this guy got the longest sentence out of all the J6ers. So, I mean, it is what it is, you know.
You do realize Charles Manson, who passed away recently in prison, never killed anybody, right? You can go to jail for a long time without actually being at the scene. Charles Manson didn't kill anybody.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So when people were burning down buildings, and I know everyone says, "Oh, nobody was burning down buildings." Like, yes, they were. Come on now, like you're intellectually dishonest if you say otherwise. But what's good for the goose is good for the gander. No, there was no outcry from the political left in this country when that was happening, and consequences weren't being dished out. So when Donald Trump comes back in and he does something for what he perceives as his home team or supporters, like the left defended. I mean, you had.
So in other words, Trump is no better than the people he was criticizing, because he was criticizing the left for not doing anything about BLM. And so his response is, the left sucked at what they were doing. I can't wait to get in office so I can suck and do the same thing.
What goes around comes around, man. I mean,
that ain't how it's supposed to be. You're basically saying if the left does something wrong that is harmful to the country, if you become president, you're going to do the same thing for your side.
No, but I do believe in righting the ship, right? So
that ain't righting the ship. How is that righting the ship?
Because all of them are Americans, and if one segment of America's got to go scot-free, then the other segment for their crimes should also.
So O.J. Simpson got away with killing 2 white people. You want to kill 2 blacks and get away with it, huh? Is that what you're saying? I don't get what you're saying.
That's a false equivalency.
How?
What do you mean? Because I would never advocate to kill any human being.
You just used the phrase "right the ship" in regards to what you referred to as acts of terror. I mean, you're talking about BLM got away with setting fires and all this shit. So when Trump got in office, the proper thing to do, according to your words, was to right the ship, which means let my people get away with the same stuff.
So there was political violence on both sides in this country. You had Democrat elected politicians who were out fundraising for bail money for BLM members who had burnt down their own communities, BLM activists, whether they were direct members or just loosely connected. So you had all of that going on. Meanwhile, the January 6ers, who quite frankly were anything but insurrectionists, the majority of those people could barely even hold a gallon of milk over their head. Many of them were older. Many of them were just walking through peacefully. Now, maybe 15 to 20% of that total crowd became violent or became agitators, but all of them were held liable for what took place that day, with a multitude and a range of sentences.
Why does that surprise you? If I go into a bank with 10 other dudes and only one guy has a gun and we rob the bank, the fact that I don't hold any weapons, or as you say, I can barely hold a gallon of milk, that ain't gonna fly. You're in here acting in concert with these people.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying that I don't totally.
Are you sure?
But what I'm saying is that it's awful rich to point out the hypocrisy as you perceive it of Donald Trump coming in and pardoning the January 6ers while simultaneously remaining quiet about what happened on the left during the BLM riots, or even what Joe Biden did in his final hours as president of the United States to preemptively, before any charges were brought, pardoning people who the right perceived as criminals, rightfully so, especially the president's son, going back and preemptively pardon this guy from 2014, which was, and I'll remind you, because here's somebody who's heavily engaged in political rhetoric on both sides of the aisle, that people that supported Donald Trump in the 2020 election, who are now proven to be right 5 years later, of all things Hunter Biden related.
They ain't proven to be right about that. Proven to be right how?
What do you mean?
I'm asking, what are they proven to be right about?
The New York Post, right? You guys always talk about, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and there's an attack on the press and this and that. But it was the political left in this country that reached out to Twitter at the time and had the New York Post account locked out and had the story of Hunter Biden's laptop during a presidential campaign shut down, where you had 51 intel agents, both current and former intel agency members, come out and sign their name that much of or all of Hunter Biden's information was Russian disinformation, and then you time lapse, and I know the left has a very short memory when it comes to things that are not good on them, to where we are today and the things that we found out to be true, that all 51 of those intel agencies who have now had their classified briefings, revoked, or were lying to the American people, that the Biden admin and previous Obama admins that reached out and had the New York Post account locked out on Twitter and shut down any whisperings of the Hunter Biden laptop, all that shit was proven to be true. So
okay, but that's not what they were trying to charge Hunter Biden with. That's not that has nothing to do with 10% to the big guy and all the allegations that were being made.
100%. All of his dealings with Burisma.
So they proved that 10% to the big guy meant that Biden was receiving payouts from this. You're telling me that has been proven?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying that what they said about Hunter Biden, a lot of it ain't been proven. The purpose of going after Hunter Biden was to get the big fish, which was Joe Biden. He was the big guy. That ain't been proven. Has it?
Who was the big guy?
10% to the big guy. They were trying to prove that Hunter Biden.
Who was the big guy in your mind, based on based on what's known? Who was the big guy? Be honest.
Well, the way it sounds, it sounds like Joe Biden was the big guy, but that's just an allegation. That ain't evidence.
Man, the emails are very. What about Hunter Biden's business partner who came out during the 2020 campaign and absolutely no mainstream media covered an entire hour press conference where he shared 3 cell phone devices that he turned over to the FBI, that the FBI has conveniently lost under the Biden administration's time in office, where he said undoubtedly there are WhatsApp messages and everything in here that corroborate every single thing that I'm saying. And I'm talking about Bob Alinsky, who subsequently, had a very low covered by the mainstream media hearing at the Senate about his dealings, and that he 100% had evidence that Joe Biden was the big guy. He had met with him on several occasions, talked to him at length in person. All of this is on record, and you guys act clueless about it. I don't.
Well, let me respond by saying this. The stuff you're saying certainly makes Hunter Biden and even his dad, Joe Biden, look bad. A lot of it sounds very suspicious and suspect, as your point. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me finish. I'll let you get back in. But what you're saying certainly makes Joe Biden and Hunter Biden particularly look in a bad light. But what I'm baffled by is how you can connect all of these dots and come to the conclusion that Joe Biden is the big guy and all of this, which makes sense based on how you're saying it. But then when it comes to trying to connecting dots to prove Trump tried to steal the 2020 election, you draw a blank. All of the same logical dots you're connecting to make Hunter Biden and Joe Biden look bad can be used to show that Trump never won the 2020 election and lied about it. But you don't see that.
Well, what happened to voter turnout this time around?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Trump lied about all sorts of things with the 2020 election. All sorts of things they said was proven to be a lie. And you don't see any connection in that.
Do I see any connection in? Do I think that he embellished the illegality of voting? To a degree, yes. I mean, there's no point.
I didn't say embellish. I didn't say embellish. I said a lie. I said a lie. Like saying that voting machines switch votes from Trump to Biden. There is zero evidence that actually happened. That's a lie.
Well, I don't see the point of relitigating that, because we had to live through 4 torturous years of Biden being the commander-in-chief of this country, in which we saw a decline by every single metric measurable.
We just had a 10-minute talk about Hunter Biden and all his indiscretions, but then when it comes to Trump, well, I don't see any reason to relitigate that. I'll give you the last word.
Well, we're speaking.
Go ahead.
Talking about the election, you keep moving the subject. We were talking about crimes and pardoning, which had nothing to do with the election of 2020. We were talking about January 6ers and BLMers, and then you just continued to sway the conversation to like a multitude of subjects that were irrelevant to the subject we were discussing.
Oh, I did that. I did that.
Who else?
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Fair enough. At the end of the day, though, you do believe they should have due process.
I think that if you're a first-time offender who came across this border, the Constitution, not me, the Constitution says you have due process. But it also says if you are a repeat offender, you can be, feloniously charged at the federal level and immediately deported with foregoing any due process. Yeah. That's not me. That's the Constitution. And yes, I believe that. But I do believe during trying times when you're trying to deter people, which there's no denying, right? And I think President Trump put it best. We didn't need new legislation to change what was happening at our southern border. We needed a new president. And we saw like 98% decline in illegal border crossings in a short period of time that Donald Trump's been in that.
Wait. No. So you're saying you believe in the Constitution, but in trying times you can subvert the Constitution?
I did not say that. I said we're going through trying times right now, and it's going to take severe, steps and bold steps in order to deter people from coming across our border. And if that means that somebody is proven beyond a reasonable doubt to be a part of something that the DOJ has now directed to be acknowledged as terrorist organizations, whether that's the cartels, whether that's Trinidad, whether that's MS-13, if you can prove that the individuals you're rounding up are members of those organizations, without a doubt, they should be immediately removed, and rather they go to Venezuela's Supermax prison or anywhere else. I am all for it.
Well, so now that you and I both agree that Trump is not really proving it, you do believe what he is doing, considering you said people should get due process according to the Constitution. You believe the Trump administration is acting in an unconstitutional manner, correct?
Yeah, if I don't know if those people are repeat offenders.
That's all you got to do. The fact that you don't know means they ain't proved it.
No, I'm saying I don't know if they're repeat offenders, but like I said, if they're members of those organizations that have been deemed by the Department of Justice as terrorist organizations, I don't give a fuck if it's their first time coming across the border. Get them out of here.
Okay. I think we're kind of moving on, but I'll appreciate you coming in. I got to move it on. Thank you for coming through, man.
Yeah, have a good day.
You too. By the way, folks, you know how the program works. We don't block, ban, or censor anybody. Real quick, I want to make sure I didn't miss somebody trying to contact me. Okay, I just want to put this in here. I had my daughter tried to contact me all right, okay, let me go back to TikTok. I may have frozen because I had to respond to a text message. Anyway, looking in the comments, you should become an attorney, handsome. I don't know. Listen, if I was going to become an attorney, I want to be in a right-wing state. I like talking to my MAGA and my right-wingers. So, looking in the comments, I hope he doesn't have any tattoos and it'd be sad to see him leave without due process. Yet, I don't, if I was in my little makeshift studio, I would bring up Pete Hegseth, because I did a live on him when the liberals tried to say that he should not be allowed to be the head of the DOD because he had white nationalist tattoos on him. Now, I went into a deep dive on Pete Hegseth's tattoos. I brought up videos or photos of him shirtless. I came to the conclusion that those tattoos are not white nationalist tattoos, but many on the left believe that they are. And I was able to break down each tattoo and show how it's being used in a way that has nothing to do with white nationalism. This is what can happen if you punish somebody solely based on a fucking tattoo. The right did not agree with that with Hegseth, but they're okay with it with these immigrants. Due process hypocrisy. That's the whole title of this show. Due process hypocrisy. A tattoo, that's all it takes. You could hate your baby mama, want to get her deported, pin her down and have one of your boys zip some ink on her back, and then call ICE and report her. You already know she's in the country illegally. So you grab her, you're pissed off with her for some reason or another, you put a tattoo on her, you call up ICE. ICE ain't gonna ask no fucking questions. You heard what my last caller said. If you got a tattoo, you need to go. So she can kick and scream and say that what happened to her happened all damn day. They don't care. The border czar has made it clear at Trump's direction, they want numbers. They want people deported. So her screaming that somebody put this on me, I'm not a member of this organ, they don't give a fuck about that. She would be gone. You're here illegally anyway. So now, Venezuela, or better yet, El Salvador, here we come. And by the way, they don't take female prisoners down in El Salvador. Trump tried to send a few and they sent them back. Anyway, looking in the comments, I can't believe folks really are favorable to kicking somebody out solely based on ink that's on them. Really? Wow, that's we're just in a new day and age. I can't believe that. I suppose if somebody had a swastika on them, we might have a different conversation. Going back to the box, Young Zell, good evening, welcome to the program. Good afternoon, rather, welcome to the program. A tattoo, that's all it takes, huh? Young Zell, good afternoon.
Hey, what's up, my man? Just wanted to hop on here real quick. I didn't know you were gonna throw me up here real quick like this, but I did want to say though, listening to your last person up here, it seems to me that we have just gotten to a point in America where we've just lost humanity. And I'm sad to say that, but these people have not been taught by their parents any type of humility or any type of love and compassion. They don't care nothing about that. And when we say due process, you're exactly correct. I mean, me as an African American male, I know plenty of my people that have been set up on things that they didn't do and planted stuff in their car that they didn't have and things of that nature. And so to think that we're just going to go by off of the word on what somebody tells us without any type of investigation or due process on these people is crazy. And to me, the sad part about it is everyone says that they want to reform the system, but I haven't seen one proposal yet by the people in charge yet on how to fix the problem. Because they keep forgetting with C-19 happened, they had to shut the border. So everybody was staying in Mexico on purpose.
Right.
And so that's why all those people were building up at the border. And once Biden came in and C-19 was declared over, he had to open it up and start letting those.
No, I can't agree with that. I mean, Biden could have passed an executive order to limit how many people could come here or something, and he didn't have to let them all in. Trump has proven that.
No. Let me stop you on that because I thought about that too. That's why I investigated. And the Supreme Court ruled that he could not use that law anymore. That he couldn't use that executive order. He was using it for a while when he got in there. That's why I tell people they need to investigate this border issue. All Trump's doing right now is using all our military resources and everything to shore up the border so no one's coming in or anything. But we're still not fixing the problem.
Hold on. Here's why I disagree with you, and I say that Biden could have done a whole lot more to secure the border than he actually did. Even if the Supreme Court suggested that he can't, prevent people from coming, he could have, by way of executive order, put in place hurdles. That, for instance, you need to vet the people that are coming in. The Supreme Court is not going to tell them you got to let people in without even vetting them first. You could put hurdles up to make it take forever. Trump has been phenomenal at going around laws that are already in place by putting hurdles in place to prevent those laws from actually being enacted. Biden could have made it so that people just can't come flooding into the country, just simply saying asylum with no claims and things like that. There's all kinds of executive orders he could have did. And let's go with what you're saying. The Supreme Court said he couldn't do something. Do it anyway and have the Supreme Court publicly shoot you down so you're on record as saying that, well, see, I made the clear effort to try.
Well, then I'm going to push back on you here because, I accept your argument there and I've heard it a million times. And so I'll push back here that he did try to do that. That's why he set up that app to allow people to sign up on the app in their countries and not come in that way. And as you saw towards the end, because he tried to get Congress to pass a bill. If people don't know, that's what you have to do to fix this problem completely. You need Congress to allocate funds, which the Republicans are trying to do now, is allocate funds to the border, allocate judges. You need all of this stuff, right? But they're not fixing the main issue.
Trump has done a whole lot to secure our border without getting Congress. You can do a lot before Congress is called in. Trump has proved that.
I think no, because in all actuality, we still have people still able to get in this country right now, even with this so-called border closed up. I disagree. All he's done is just stop the process, so nobody's able to actually try to come here anymore. He's just stopped them all.
You
That's
don't
it.
believe that Trump has secured the border any more than Biden?
No, not at all. I just say he's has the military down there a whole lot, and all that's doing is using our resources and using everything as far as money. It's not securing it in any way because we all know how they get here. They get here through tunnels and they get here by legal means a lot of times. And
So,
in
in other
fact,
words, all of the military personnel that's down there, the ships, the wall, you don't think any of that makes a difference at all?
I just think it's a good deterring mechanism. And if you want to do that for, 10 years or so, yeah, that's great. But it's not going to stop people from trying to get here. And so if you want to stop the problem completely, then you need to create a system that people can legally get here and not have to wait in a line that takes 10 to 20 years. I mean,
I don't think you're
it's
going to convince
crazy.
anybody that Trump. You're saying that Trump, the border is no more secure under Trump than it was under Biden. That's a
It's
hard
just the
sell.
present. I look at it like this. It's just you're looking at it like the presence of the military there and everything like that is stopping these cartels, people from getting their product and everything in here. That's crazy because that's just crazy talk. People are still getting their things in here now and everything. And if that's your goal is to stop all of these drugs and all of these different things from coming in, then that you're not stopping
So
that. You're
you
just
think
stopping
you think the human smuggling and all that stuff is still happening at just the same level?
I don't think it's the same as far as people crossing like different areas. They just find other areas that they can try to cross. So in that regard, no, I don't really believe that it has stopped a whole lot. Yes, it has stopped some because you have that presence down there. That's all. But you can't keep that up, sustaining it when they keep talking about we have all this debt. So if you want to fix the issue and not just band-aid it over, you can't keep all the military down there and everything like that forever and indefinitely. We need to start talking about the serious issues and fix the system. Make it so that people can come in here legally, not have to pay 5 million for a gold card, but can come in here legally and do work that they want to do instead of having to be penalized. You heard what Trump did already with the people that Biden let in, the Haitian people who got hit by that earthquake and hurricane. They're trying to come over here. He denied all their status. All the
Yeah.
people who were coming over
Yeah,
here
he
who
took
got
away
transit
temporary.
status.
Yeah, he took away temporary protection status for Cubans
Yeah,
and
so he took it
Venezuelans.
all away.
Yeah,
Yeah, took it all away so they can just grab up people who did it the legal way.
yeah,
So it's crap, is
yeah.
what I'm talking about here. We got to face the facts. They're not trying to fix the problem. They're just trying to keep band-aids on it, and they keep trying to point at the other side. It's their fault. It's their fault. Well, they're really not doing anything. They're not. I mean, you think that we can maintain a military presence at the border for years and not cost our country dearly in funds and resources?
Well, I think the goal of Trump, because you keep talking about fixing the border, I don't think the goal of Trump is to fix the border. I think the goal of Trump is to close the border. I think, let's say, for instance, Trump was able to be in office for 10 years. I think immigration, certainly coming across the southern border, would probably be the goal of all 10 years would probably be somewhere around zero. I mean, his goal, all of this come legally, I don't mind if you come, just come legally. That's kind of a farce. In reality, we don't want you to come at all. Well, it sounds better to say just come legally, but in reality, we really don't want you to come at all.
I know, and that is his goal. But at the end of the day, and this is what you have to push back on the right on, is they talk all this crap about cartels and smugglers. You're just creating a more of an incentive for them to keep up their business. That is a huge business on human trafficking and smuggling and all of the different things. And as the Mexican president said, she's willing to work with the United States if we stop all the guns that we allow to keep going down there. That's
Yeah,
one thing
but
we
you
don't
you
have to
do
do that.
understand that the Mexican president or the Mexicans talking about they willing to work with the United States, they knew all of these people were walking through their country to get to America. Why didn't you work with the United States then? All these people walking through your country, you just letting them use your country as a thoroughfare. Why don't you do something then?
Well, because our laws are set up that way. They can claim asylum. I mean, if we want to change the laws, then we change it. But those have been on the book. People talk about the Constitution all the time. Well, that's a
But
part of
But
it.
young
That's
Z,
in
young, hold on.
English.
But listen, hear what I'm saying. Okay, even if our laws were relaxed at one point, just like these people were coming into America unvetted, we didn't know who they are. That means they're walking through Mexico with the same status. Mexico was allowing people to just walk through its shit. They didn't know who they were either. Like, why won't you secure your damn border?
Yeah, but I disagree on this non-vetting thing because when the people check themselves in with the border protection people, they put them through a vetting process on checking through databases and seeing if they're part of criminal organizations and things of that nature. So I'm gonna push back on that.
You
I
really
don't like
believe everybody that came in here under the Biden administration had been vetted?
the people who got as far as the people who got smuggled in, no. Okay, because keep in mind that's always been happening through every administration. I don't care, even the first Trump administration, they always get smugglers. So we ain't talking about them, but we're talking about the people who actually are apprehended by Border Patrol or they turn themselves in. Yes, they vet those people and they give them a court date to appear. But guess what? It's a backlog with the system that nobody wants to fix that is just
How
years
can you?
years
Here's
long.
here's the problem. If you are a Venezuelan immigrant coming from a country where we don't even recognize the leadership in that country, at one point they were not even taking their deportees back. How can any Venezuelan immigrant suggest that they've been properly vetted? Venezuela was up in arms. It was just like Haiti, civil war going on. You don't know if that person was a murderer or not. The Haitian government is not keeping files to give you. There's no way to vet them.
Now, if you're looking at that aspect, I can definitely agree with you in that aspect. Then we should still at least allow the women and children and things of that nature because we're looking at all these people are just men and murders and things of that nature and lumping them all together. I don't believe that's the case. And honestly,
I don't either.
I also don't believe, personally, that all of these people are not trying to escape a tough situation down there that sadly our government has created because we're not trying to instill some type of trust with those countries and things. Who's in power? We want someone in power that is more susceptible to what we want. And if they're not that way, you see what's happening with Cuba now. If they're not that way, then we shun them. And it's very bad, in the world scheme of things, because now we're doing it to all of our allies and everything. But, this is a phenomenal conversation, man. Love speaking with you always, man. I don't want to take up too much more because I could sit here all day. But I just say we got to come at this at a more humane way is my personal belief. Because as with the Hegseth thing, I want to talk about that for a second. I think it's a distraction, my man. I think it's a distraction. They doing stuff on purpose. Trump is a media master. He knows bad news is good news and good news is good news. So sometimes they do this so that way he doesn't have to talk about the big issue going on right now and what Israel has done with releasing their proposal to extract everyone from Gaza and take everybody out, and they've been continuing to do what they have to do, and the administration hasn't said a word about it. Not even even in their press conferences.
Yeah, well, he did say he was going to make. He did say he was going to make Gaza the Riviera of the Middle East. So what Israel's doing is in cohorts with what Trump said he wants done. So I don't know if that's a big surprise what Israel's talking about doing because Trump already said he wanted to own it. So he's pretty much giving Israel, I'm down with getting these people out of here.
About it, because then he's gonna have to talk about it.
No way. There's no way to do that without that making world news. I got to move it on, Young Z, but yeah, there's no way he's going to be able to hide doing that.
Exactly. Well, have a blessed one, man. It's great talking with you, and bless everybody watching. Make sure everybody pushing those likes and stuff, man. Get it up there real quick, man. This guy is trying to do the Lord's work right now.
The Lord's work. I like it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And trying to get us both talking on both sides. We got to talk to each other to get this shit fixed. So, excuse my French.
Not a problem. Young Zell, appreciate it, Young Zell. And by the way, I won't go so far as saying I'm doing the Lord's work, but if the Lord is using me as a vehicle, then so be it. Looking in the comments, Jay Roger, thank you for the super chat, says Trump got rid of DEI hires just to put in his own DEI hires in place. I don't see how I could disagree with that. In fact, some of the folks that Trump got rid of while yelling DEI, yeah, he did replace it with people that were even lesser credential, like the head of the Coast Guard, Dinkow. Appreciate that. like the 4-star general. He's done that. He actually has done it, gotten rid of people that were more credentialed to put in people that were less. Does Pete Hegseth, I would assume he has less credentials than any other head of DOD. Gangsta grandma, good evening. Gangsta, are you there?
Yes, Big Daddy, I'm here with your fluffing looking ass.
Already?
No, fluffing again.
Already?
Hell yeah. Oh, but you know what? You need to call that little white tea man out when he was saying about BLM, when it was the white tea people that was doing it, the right side when the FBI said it. You see, you don't be calling the
Wait a minute, you're saying that BLM was not burning down cities, it was white people?
It was.
No.
Well, you better go get your shit.
No.
You better go get. I want to fact check your ass. It was. A lot of them was outsiders, and a lot of them was from the feds, from the right side. Yes, it was. But don't you go there with me. Don't fluff that damn much, man. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Okay, you do realize, though, the overwhelming majority of people rioting and looting with BLM riots were black, right? You would at least agree with that, right?
No, it wasn't. Oh, no.
I didn't say all, I said majority. Majority.
No, not majority. No. Ninja, you need to sit down. Not majority. It was a little bit compared to the white tea.
You believe the majority of people rioting and looting during the BLM riots of 2020 were not black?
They was protesting.
Who was the majority of the people doing the rioting and looting?
The white tea. Go look at it. What the fuck?
I see a lot of folks in the comments agree with you. I don't know about that one.
No shit. And don't you dare, because I was out there too. I was out there protesting, because my baby brother, you got me fucked up, and I wasn't doing the shit, but I was protesting, and I'll be damned. Now, if a white tea person came up and started talking shit, well, honey, my pew would be working.
Let me ask you this: if that's true, why were there not? Hold on, okay. If it's true, why are there not? Oh, I get it. I hear that. Okay, you're saying it's true. So let me ask you this: because black people have, fucking Androids and iPhones. Why wouldn't they film this? If you're out here protesting peacefully, and you can see across the street. Oh, hang on, hold on. You can see across the street a bunch of white people setting fire to Best Buy or running into a CVS to steal shit. Why wouldn't you pull out your phones and record that? You know what the news is going to say tomorrow. Where are the recordings?
Fluff it. It was. That's why the FBI got him. You see, you're riding so hard for this white man, aren't you? You're like, you want to be the devil's advocate. This ain't a good time to be devil's advocate, my ninja. It isn't, because they're going to lock all of our asses up. They want to ship all of our asses out. You feel what I'm saying? I'm really ignorant on this. I'm going to admit, if what you guys are saying is true, I'm really ignorant on this. I have not seen all this video. Oh, my God. Big Daddy is saying he's ignorant. You are.
Listen, hold on, Gangsta Grandma. Have I not ever made it clear to you guys, you and everybody else in the damn program, that I'm willing to concede I don't know every fucking thing? If what you're pointing out is true, then I'm wrong, but I haven't seen it.
My ninja, you are getting on my damn nerves. Oh, God. Because, see, I got to start smoking to get with your ass up in here, because you be getting on my damn nerves. You let these white tea people be talking mad shit about us, our black ass, our ninja asses. But you don't do it. But you don't clap back. You don't clap back.
Where all the?
That's why I tell you I need to be your sidekick on your shit. So I clap back. See, you don't have the balls to clap back, but I do, and I don't have balls.
Oh my God! Where are all of the claims from Obama, Biden, Kamala Harris? Why weren't they yelling out that white people are doing this?
They did. Obama told Obama's staff, Obama's FBI, and all them. They all said they was doing it. They was locking their asses up. They did. They locked their asses up. They sure did. But you don't want to know that, do you? No.
Yeah, I do want to know it. I've never heard this.
And then that white tea man, oh my God, if I could just go through the phone, I'd be like a ghost down and choke that white tea man out when he was saying, yep. All that shit was fake. And you know what? Yeah, they are bringing segregation back. And you know what? It's going to burn. It's going to burn down. I promise you, it's going to burn down.
Now I see in the comments, Infinity says people are now paying tens of thousands of dollars for Mexicans to be smuggled into America. Thank you, President Trump, for supporting Mexicans' economy.
Oh,
Damn.
President Trump didn't do shit for that damn door. Let's get to the border now, okay? Let's get to the damn border. For one, the border is not closed, okay? They cannot do that. Comprehend that. They comprehend. I mean, I know the mega is so special, but no, they cannot close the damn border. You know, another thing is he got played by a Mexican woman. He got played by the Mexican woman. Because you know what? Biden, our little old sleepy Joe, got 10,000 troops of Mexicans down there. Pookie. So quit saying that he didn't do shit. Because that sleepy Joe got your ass and said, yeah, yes, honey, I got the border.
I didn't say, hold on, I didn't say Biden didn't do shit. I think that Trump has done a much better job, though. Trump has done a much better job on the border.
No, he did do a good job. You cannot close the border. That is against the Constitution.
You can secure the damn border.
You cannot close it. That little motherfucker race, triple Klansman wants to close it. Because you know why? Because he don't want no black and brown people to come through. But you don't see him doing it, though. You don't see him trying to close the damn border to Russia, close the damn flights out there. No, the white people can stay. You know what? One of these damn days, my ninja, they're gonna come for your ass.
What?
You watch, you little bald-headed fat butt is gonna be like, "Oh, come and save us!"
Why would they come for me? I'm a neutral guy.
Because you're tripping, man. And you need some. You know what? I need to go smoke a blunt with Joe and get you right with Jesus because you're on the wrong side of history. Yes, you is, honey. That's why I gotta smoke it, and I gotta try to check. I gotta be a sidekick because I gotta call these mofos out because you don't. You say yes. Well, let me play devil's advocate. No, you don't play devil's advocate with Satan.
I don't know, Gates. I think you're sensationalizing this. First of all, these white people that are. You're telling me that BLM riots were perpetrated by white people. I think
they was the outside. Go look. You know what? Google is fucking free, honey child, and just do it. Google it, and then say the feds, the popo, came and got their asses. I'm telling your ass. I'm not lying.
I want anybody watching that agrees with you. I want them to send me in the DM proof that white people were doing all this shit during the BLM riots. I haven't seen this.
Let me tell you something. They're gonna stab you in the back. These little motherfuckers gonna stab you in the back. The maggots don't like you, and you're trying to get really close to them. Well, they're my friends. No, they're not. They're not your friends. They'll stab you in the back. And let me tell you something. When that damn what's his name? The Cheeto head, I can't even call him president. The orangutan.
You're disrespecting the office again. You're disrespecting the office.
Disrespect him till he unalives himself, or he chokes on a Big Mac, or he dies peacefully in his damn sleep. So something's gonna have to give. Because the Antichrist cannot live in this damn society. We need to save our country. I promise you we do.
Are you really referring to the president as the Antichrist?
Are you a Christian? See, let me tell you, I'm a damn Christian. I may not act like a Christian because I do my thing. I'm a freak in the bed. But I know my Bible, okay? And it says in the Bible, the motherfucker's gonna come and put statues of himself. I'll be damned. He sure did it, Gaza. That is the Antichrist. And you know what thing is? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. But let me tell you something. Some of the maggots turned on his ass. Some of the maggots did. They said, I believe that you are the Antichrist.
You do realize the proper name is MAGA, not MAGA.
Hey, honey. The flies. They get on my damn nerves. They're like a fly that doesn't go away unless you can swat them. Hell yeah. They maggots.
I just figured you were kind of misspeaking there. Maggot. You're adding letters to it.
Why would I misspeak on the maggots? I do not. I call them maggots for a damn reason.
Oh, my God.
The white people's big mad. They big mad. They can stay big mad, too. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. If you walk like a duck, you talk like a duck, you're a maggot. You're still standing with this man that did take segregation away. Bye-bye. It's gonna be now. I gotta do this. The white cheek crayon is gonna be all over the place. So the black crayon is gonna be taken. We cannot get man. You watch.
Wait, you think America's gonna become so racist they're gonna get rid of black crayons? Is that what did you just say?
Let me tell you something.
Oh my God.
The white team man tells you this. When the white team man tells you this, they did not vote for her because she's not black enough. That was a BLM MAGA. Okay? She wasn't black enough, or she wasn't educated. They couldn't comprehend what the fuck she was saying because they got, the 5-year-old, 5th grade level of comprehension. My granddaughter could comprehend better than they could. You know what I mean? Yeah, that. And then the white team man, well, she's an Indian. She ain't black. What the fuck? How's the white team man gonna tell a black person they're not black?
They did say she was part Indian, part Jamaican. I got to move it on, though, gangster.
But that's it. I'm going to tell you. I'm telling you. Go question ass and go Google. Google is your best friend, my ninja. And it'll say, the white team man did it.
All right. Appreciate you coming on as always. Wow, you drive a hard bargain. Thank you. Gangsta Grandma, everybody. Look in the comments. By the way, like I said, we're all for free speech here. You don't have to agree with the host. Many folks would agree in the comments, particularly on TikTok, that she just tore me a new one. But I enjoy talking to Gangsta Grandma like I enjoy talking to my MAGA. So you're always free to come on the program. If you hear something you don't like or you hear something you disagree with, that's how free speech works. So we don't interfere with that here. If the apps will let you talk, damn it, so will we. Looking in the comments real quick, Joe Shalom says there is nothing worse than a white man in America complaining about unfairness. You couldn't dream up a better situation for yourself. Huh. Well, a lot of folks that are white in America believe that people of color are getting jobs they don't deserve, DEI. Immigrants are getting treated better than Americans in liberal cities. I mean, there are a lot of white Americans who believe they're being replacement theory. So I'm just giving you the other side of the argument. So we'll leave it at that. Love that lady. She was cooking you up, says really? I enjoy Gangsta Grandma. Listen, I don't always get it right. A lot of you folks in the comments are telling me that BLM riots were perpetrated by Caucasians. I haven't heard that. I have not heard that. I need clarity on that. Somebody needs to inbox me some shit. I was following all of that. Didn't care. What am I getting wrong? BLM, all white people, huh?
No, it's not all. See, the pendulum done swung.
Majority?
There was a lot of outside agitators that were white. But if you remember, during that time, a lot of people were wearing masks. That's why a lot of people didn't go to jail during that time, because they couldn't identify the people. There were a lot of outside groups, agitators. There were some that were dropping off Ford trucks.
I know that part, the bricks and shit. I do know that.
Those were not black people. Black people didn't drop off loads of bricks downtown. Like, it's certain, I know the people. Like, it's certain things I know we'll do. Certain things, it don't even cross our mind. Like, directly attacking the police, being the offensive side of attacking the police. Now, if the police attack us, we will fight back. But we ain't the type to go burn down a police station. We already know what come with that. So there were a lot of outside. I mean, she might have exaggerated some, and maybe.
But she was on to something, is what you're saying.
Yes, definitely. And I thought that was understood by a lot of people.
I am aware, and I see in the comments, Ace Ventura said, I think a lot of BLM were January 6 rioters. In other words, they've been out there before, but they just was on the other side. I am aware, rather, that people were dropping bricks off. I heard about that. I heard about the police station in Minnesota. I did hear about that. But a lot of the BLM riots took place in the hood. I don't buy that it was white people going in the hood setting, like Ferguson. Ferguson was in the hood. That ain't white people.
I disagree. If you go back and look at the vast majority of BLM protests, they were downtown. They were not in the hood.
Really?
If you're calling the hood like the downtown of a black area, then I guess you could say it was the hood. But the BLM protesters were all held in major cities downtown. Nobody held one in what would be the point of holding it, in the hood in Chicago? That would do nothing. It was you had to make it big, so that's why it had to be downtown. It had to be in an area that drew attention, because that's the whole point of protests, is to draw attention. So they had them downtown. That's where the CVS's was getting, raided, and all of those stores were getting vandalized. Now, there's a difference between what we have to understand, that there are different types of people at protests. There are the protesters themselves, there are agitators, and then there are opportunists.
Yes.
People that are the opportunists know that all of this attention is going to be drawn away, so I can get away with crimes.
Yep.
Those are the people that were from the hood. I know people like that who would think, oh my good, all the police is going to be over here. I can take advantage over here.
Yeah. That I agree with, and I do agree that even a lot of African Americans that were robbing shit had nothing to do with the BLM protests. They were, as you say, look, there's a huge distraction. The police are either being told to stand down, or they're having to address this outrage in widespread numbers. So this, this shop on a different side of town will be easy pickings. I do believe there was a whole lot of opportunists that got chalked up as being members of BLM, whether they're white or black.
Exactly.
Whether they're white or black.
Exactly. And even the ones that were in the majors, even the people that were, I ain't gonna lie, some of the people that might have been protesters early in the day, because always the protesters say we're gonna leave by sundown, because they already know what time it is. Now the people that were left behind are the agitators and the opportunists that are left behind, because they're gonna start the fires.
They're on the take. They're on the take.
You know the Operation COINTELPRO, like how they targeted like a lot of the black leaders and how they infiltrated the groups.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Panthers and all of those
right.
Black nationalist groups. Those same people are still running the FBI and the CIA. They wanted to create a picture of BLM as being this, what Trump called them, a terrorist organization, by saying, so all they had to do was bust out a window of a CVS around a whole bunch of people that's already broken poor. Guess what's gonna happen?
They gonna go up in there. Yeah, they gonna go up in there.
Do it at a high-end Gucci store. They going in there. Do it anywhere. So they created these situations that now we've kind of held on to this narrative that BLM is somehow this terrorist group, and all they do is kill and maim and all of that stuff, which is not true. Those antagonists, agitators, are what created that whole thing. We've even got one. They showed a guy who busts out the window and he tries to walk away. He's got the umbrella in his hand. You can look that up.
Yeah, some of the stuff you're saying I do remember seeing, because I do remember seeing that one as well. Like I said, the bricks, I remember seeing that one. I know the police station was burned down, and it would show that wasn't necessarily done by BLM members. There was plenty of agitation. I think the issue I had with with the previous call against the grandma, she was making it sound like most of that shit was done by white people, and I'm like,
If you go look at everything that was Northwest, all of that stuff in Seattle, in Portland, and all of that stuff, that was all white people. But they was carrying the BLM flag. And what was the name of that place that they took over, that couple block area?
About Chaz and all of that shit.
Yeah. That wasn't black people.
That wasn't. Yeah, that was Antifa too. That was. Not only was it not black people, it was not BLM. The problem is the left. I mean, better yet, the right is trying to demonize and pin all these groups together. They're trying to make it sound like Antifa and BLM is one unit. One is about anti-fascism. The other is against social injustice to minorities. They have a totally different mission. But the right is trying to make it sound like they're all one group.
Right, and that's why they attach. I guess it might have been the original group was some ladies who I guess took advantage of the donations and stuff, and they ended up doing some crazy, buying some.
That's the head of BLM. Yeah, the head of the BLM. Yeah.
But what they won't tell you is that each branch in each city was totally, they was independent.
Yeah, I've been to a few BLM protests, and nobody talked about different types of government like communism and fascism that the right talks. Nobody raised any money. No money was collected. It was all about, in fact, the head of the police department was there, took a knee with the participants and talked about banning chokeholds in town. It had nothing to do with what the right is talking about.
Right. Each state or each city was talking about what was happening in their
Right.
particular
Right.
jurisdiction.
Right.
But we
Well,
all bit into the narrative, and now we stuck with it because there's no way to get rid of it. And although I think Grandma needed to take a chill pill a little bit, she was getting a little too emotionally connected. But a lot of that, what she was saying, was correct. I couldn't debate her on the premise of what she was saying.
yeah.
It's just her
Most,
way.
yeah, I think just about every town in America that has a population of over 50,000, which is a whole lot of different cities, have all had at least one BLM event. I mean, everybody from Boise, Idaho to Billings, Montana have had peaceful BLM protests. So the idea that BLM is all about rioting and looting and burning cities down is, yeah, it's a right-wing talking point. Because like I said, I've been to a couple of them.
When they say cities, they literally talk. We
A
talk
block
about
or two, yeah, block.
square blocks
Yeah.
at the max.
Yeah.
And individual businesses in that city, they make it sound like the Watts riots back in the day, like what a whole downtown.
Shit, they make it sound like the fucking Chicago fire if you listen to them.
Right.
Like the whole city, or Tokyo during World War II, or Dresden, yeah. It's yeah.
Why are the blacks destroying their own neighborhoods, man? They not.
Yeah, they do make it the whole. They burning cities like ain't no city burned all the way down. They do say that though. They burning cities like it's maybe 4 or 5 buildings is on fire in this town. It ain't the whole fucking city.
Right.
It's a great exaggeration.
You can't even walk down the street without getting shot. I'm like, what? Where's that at?
Yeah, it's the same thing. My hometown of Chicago, they make Chicago sound like Beirut. I mean, like, it ain't that fucking bad. It ain't as bad as they make it sound.
If you try to explain the numbers to them, and I'm not sanctioning, I'm not saying that the numbers are good, but if you look at a major city and say, oh my God, they had 300, unalivings this year, it sounds like a lot, but when you got 3 million people in the city.
Yeah, Chicago, the thing about it is, the reason why Chicago got attacked so much, and to a lesser degree New York and LA, but mainly Chicago, is because it is a bastion of liberalism. The mayor is liberal, the governor of the state is liberal, the policies, they have a history of gun bans, which they don't have these gun bans as much anymore, but they do have a history of liberalism. So they're going to attack Chicago, even though places like St. Louis that have pretty relaxed gun laws have more murders per capita. Memphis, Tennessee, more murders per capita. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, hell, even Little Rock, Arkansas, they get down in Little Rock. But they keep targeting Chicago because you can keep pointing to liberals to say what's going on. Whereas if you got to discuss Memphis, once you get past the mayor, all the rest of that shit's Republican. And there's no tough gun law in Memphis. So Memphis doesn't fit the agenda to attack Memphis, even though the murder rate in Memphis is higher.
Right. But they don't really care about. They don't necessarily care about the murder rate as much as they care about pinning it on people of color.
Well, there's plenty of people of color in Memphis. It's just there's too much Republicanism in the area. Outside of the city government, the rest of that stuff, the state government, all of that's Republican. But right, so you can't.
They don't want to admit that the funding for the police forces and all of that come out of state taxes, which is controlled by the governor.
Yeah.
But they'll start out with, oh man, the city, and then when you talk about the state where they get all of their resources from, all of a sudden they don't want to include them people.
Yeah. For instance, like you talk about people of color. If you want to pin something on people of color, you would pick a state like Alabama or Mississippi where it's loaded with people of color, but it's all Republican. So you can't say shit about it. You don't hear the right say nothing about Mississippi or Alabama. And there are people because it's too much Republicanism down there.
They don't say nothing. look, they hurting themselves while they not saying nothing about the Department of Education thing because they got the worst schools in the damn country.
Yeah.
And they lose the resources from the federal government, it's gonna get even worse. But they not gonna say a thing about it because what you just said.
It's too much.
It's them.
Yeah.
Well, hey, one more thing I want to say is I found out what they gonna do about who gonna take all of them black jobs. Did you heard it?
No.
Oh, they starting down in Florida. It's the kids. They passing legislation to take the age of employment down to 14, where you can now work overnight. Yeah, you can now work. I'm talking about
overnight.
High school kids, 14 now. It hasn't passed, but it's been proposed, and the governor is endorsing it. He's saying, "Hey, we got a lack of labor. Why not let the kids do it?"
And I'm going to respond the same way Stevie D in the comments said. He said I was working at 14. So was I, but you weren't working over fucking night. I mean, I had a paper route at 14, and I worked for Burger King at 15 or 16, but I didn't work overnight. If you're working overnight, then you obviously are not going to school in the morning.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
I got some homework.
Trying to fill the gap.
That's
just the beginning. If he does it there, you best believe they're gonna be shouting it across all the southern states to now let children fill the void of those migrant workers. And there's a reason why he's doing it. It's because of what we said. There's going to be a lack of migrant workers.
Kids.
14.
Now I got more homework to do. Didn't Cal? As always, I got to step away. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
All right, you too. All right. Children at 14 now, like many of us, like me, growing up in the 80s, a lot of you folks probably did work. Like I said, I had a paper route at 14. And then I migrated from a paper route to working for fast food, and, my working career began. But as my last caller pointed out, we weren't working overnight. I think, maybe 7, maybe 8 o'clock at the latest, I might be working as a teenager. You weren't working at, 2 in the morning, a 14-year-old up at 2 in the morning. Wow. I have a hard time believing it, but Cal is a reliable viewer. I don't disagree. I don't typically disagree with him on much, so I'll be curious to see, but I have not heard that. I know some states are trying to get the youth back working, and a lot of Americans favor it because a lot of the older Americans did work as a teenager, but not overnight. If they're trying to get it to the point where they want kids to be working overnight, then yeah, that does, as Cal was pointing out, sound like there's something more sinister to that, which is trying to get children to replace jobs that adults used to do that you don't want those adults to do, such as illegal immigrants, or maybe even adults that might request fair labor laws. Kids ain't gonna push back much. Children ain't gonna push back, but you can get a lot more over on kids. So that's crazy though. I'd have to look into it. I have not heard that, but trying to get kids to work overnight is insane. Wow. Anyhow, moving on with the program. Most teens have after school activities, not time to work. Well, that might have to take a back seat. You won't be doing too much you won't be doing too much after school activities if you're in a family that's impoverished. Now, obviously, as with a lot of our laws, it does not affect wealthy and middle class whites. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. Some may not like me saying that, but just like when it came to sending folks to war, the wealthy and upper middle class whites, they kind of get to avoid that. So I don't expect to see a bunch of white children from middle class and wealthy families working at Walmart at 2 a.m. That's not going to happen. You know who's going to be in there. If what he's saying is true, you already know what's going to be working in there. So we'll see what happens, though. And as somebody says, by design, Billy Wap, yeah. I'm not a keyboard gangster. I'm a real one. Gee, damn. After school activities keep the kids from going home. Making money at a job would keep them from going home as well. A child out in the middle of the night working, I mean, are you okay with trading your kid's education for some minimum wage job they can work in the middle of the night for, like I said, for minimum wage, because their education is being stunted. I know if I'm 14, 15, and I'm making minimum wage and getting 40 hours a week, it might start making me consider dropping out. I mean, we're talking about the mindset of a 14-year-old, not somebody who may be more intelligent. You're 13, 14 years old, and you're making decent money. You might start telling your mom, hell, I'm not going to school. I got enough money. I'm good. I don't need to, look, I can be manager in a year. They're going to put me on fries. I can be a team leader before you know it. Before you know it, I'm at $10 an hour. Screw what they talking about in high school. I don't see it going well if you start giving kids jobs in the middle of the damn night. I just don't see it. I can see where there might be a major problem with that. Look, and somebody said they noticed. Yeah, to me, it seemed like there could be a problem with it. But